So we'll continue the previous class. There is a role, AWS IAM roles.
Mhm.
Okay. So what is my IAM role? Is identity a specific function that can be assumed by the trusted entity such as AWS services or
Mhm.
services or users application. Roles don't have any permanent credentials. Instead of they provide the temporary security credentials. Assume that there is a front end is there, back end is there. Okay. Suppose web service is running in one EC2 instance. This EC2 instance wants to access the back end, the database. So when this both front end want to access the back end, then they need credentials. Without credentials,
Mhm.
cannot access. That time we will add the role that this front end can access the database. Then without any credential, the database can be accessed. No need to store the access keys in the code. Why roles are important? No need to store the access key in the code. Improve the security using the temporary credentials. Recommended best practice with the AWS. Support cross account or service to service across access. One service want to access the other service. Like EC2 wants to access the S3. Then if you created a role, then the EC2 will access the S3. Understood?
Mhm.
So what happens when EC2 wants to S3? EC2 wants to access the S3. We need to provide the secret key and access key. Okay. If there is no secret key and access key there, EC2 cannot access the S3. To provide the access between one resource to another resource, then we'll create the role.
Mhm.
Okay. The role can be attached to multiple entities, means that cannot attach for only single user. We can use for role. Role can be attached for multi-user, multiple group, or any resource. Okay. It is not limited to, suppose I attach a role for a single user, doesn't mean that it can attach for single user. It can attach for other users also. Okay. What is the real
Mhm.
time example? An EC2 wants to access objects in S3 bucket. Instead of using access key, a RAM role with S3 permission is attached to EC2 instance. EC2 assumes that role receives the temporary credentials automatically. Okay. So what are the types of roles are there? Service role is there, cross account role is there, federated role is there. What is the service role? Service role used by the AWS services like EC2, Lambda and ECS. EC2, Lambda and ECS. Whereas cross control, I want to, there are multiple accounts are there. There is multiple accounts are there. Like two AWS accounts are there. So from one IAM user, from account one IAM user want to access the other service from the other AWS account. With the help of the roles, we can give the access to the other AWS account also. Okay. Roles are like a temporary credentials. Give the temporary credential to access one resource to other resource. The resource may be inside or the resource may be outside. Like an example is that EC2 wants to access S3 or S3 want to access the DynamoDB. S3 want to access the DynamoDB. Then we'll create a role, we're going to attach the role. Once the role is attached, you don't need to have any security key and access key. With the help of the temporary credentials, it will directly access the one resource to other resource.
Mhm.
Understand?
Yes.
Now I'm going to create a role. In this one practical, I created two AC2 instances, two EC2 instances. So one instance without role, another instance with role. The
Mhm.
first one, which is without role, when you want to access, the EC2 wants to access the S3, then it asks for the security key and access key. Whereas the second EC2 instance, when I attach the role with S3, then it don't ask any security key and access key. It will directly access the S3 bucket. Understood? I create
Mhm.
two EC2 instance. First EC2 instance without role. Second EC2 instance with role. So here EC2 wants to access the S3. When the first
Mhm.
one, it asks for the security key and access key. Why? Because we are not attached any role. Whereas second one, when you attach a role, it you don't need any secret key and access. It directly accesses the S3 data. Understand?
Mhm.
So now I'm going to create a two EC2 instance. Before going to create a two instance, I create a role. So how to create a role? Go to the IAM policy.
Mhm.
Here, roles, click on roles. Create a role. Click on AWS service because we are using AWS service. Suppose I want to give
Mm-hmm.
access for another AWS account, you can choose this one. Okay.
Okay.
Then use case is, what is the use case? EC2 can access S3. What is the use case?
Mm-hmm. EC2 can access E3. Yeah.
S3. Then click on next here. So here, what is the permission I need to give here? S3 can, EC2 can access S3. I'm giving
Mm.
S3 full access for EC2. Understood?
Yes.
Then click on next here. Give the name here. Here, see this. What is the description here? You can check here. Allow EC2 instance can call the AWS services on behalf. Okay. So what is the policy he had
Mm-hmm.
given? You can check here the JSON policy. Here,
Mm-hmm.
the JSON policy. So mean I'm giving the permission. I'm giving the permission that EC2 can access S3. EC2 can access S3. Okay. So what is the policy here? Amazon S3 full access.
For access. Yeah.
Here I'm giving the create a role. Now I created a role. Go to the EC2 instance. We'll create a two EC2 instance.
Okay. Hello. Oh, sorry. Couldn't hear.
Now you can check here. There is two instances are there. One is with role and second one is the without role. This is the without role.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is the without role. This is the with role. Okay. This is without role. This is the with
Yes.
role. Then this one I will attach the role. How will you attach the role? Select the instance which you want to give the role. Then click on this one. You have a actions tab. Okay. Or else you can
Okay.
right click here. Okay. Right click here. In this one option is there, security role is there. One option is there, security. Understood? Under this security
Mm-hmm.
you have a one role is there. Which role? Modify.
If I, yeah, I am.
Modify IAM role. Now click on this one. What is the name we are given? Mohsin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so with role I had added a which role? Mohsin role I added. Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm going to connect both instances. I'm going to connect the
Mm-hmm.
both instances. Without role and with role. Giving the role here,
Mm-hmm.
host name without role. Okay, check here host name
Mm.
without role. Okay.
Okay.
Again, you connect to other instance. Again, you connect to the other instance.
Yeah.
This is without role. I think
Mm-hmm.
what is this one? I think yes. Okay. Then we need to install the S3 service in both. Okay. How will you install the S3 services? Sorry, CLI.
Yeah. No?
CLI.
Mm-hmm.
CLI. For we need to install the access S3, we need a CLI. What is the command? Just go to the AWS CLI 64, download, select this one, click on the Linux here,
Mm-hmm.
and copy this command. What is that? Copy this command and install in both to access the S3 from the CLI. Both instances, I install the CLI. Then I will check in both instances whether the CLI is installed or not. Just type here AWS minus minus version.
What did you say?
AWS
Sorry.
minus minus version.
Okay.
Now install. This one install. Again we'll check the other one. Just type clear. Again type AWS minus minus version. Okay. Now
Yes.
just click on host name. Type host name. This is with role. I just
Mm-hmm.
type here AWS S3 LS. What happened here? Listed the buckets. It listed the
Okay.
this other one. The same command I'll issue here. AWS S3 LS. Then what happened here?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because we don't have.
Role. We don't
Okay.
have any
Okay.
role. Roles are like this front end want to access the back end. Like front end web server want to place some data inside the database server. Then we're going to attach the role. So role will have a temporary credentials without needing any security access key. Then it will directly access one resource can access the other resource. Understand? Okay. That is which one? Role. Okay. Now we're going to move to the other topic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now
Yes.
we're going to move to other topic, multi-factor authentication. Okay. So what does multi-factor authentication? Multi-factor authentication will provide the two-layer protection for your AWS account. Because of your AWS account is the most important. So AWS account, what are the resources created inside the AWS account is the assets for your company. Okay, suppose it is a Netflix, then there as Netflix is running multiple EC2 servers. They are assets for their company. So they need to protect their assets, mean that they need to provide the extra layer of security for the AWS accounts. Okay. If the AWS account have only username password, someone is
Mm-hmm.
intercepted, like they done the brute force, or someone do the like sniffing attack, they will easily intercept a username and a password, and they'll just take the username and password. Then from the then they'll just enter the username and password. They'll after that log into the AWS account. They will some delete the other things, what are the malicious thing they'll do. Instead of that, if you provide a two-layer protection, okay, instead of that, we could provide a two-layer protection, you will protect your resources. Okay. How will you create a multi-factor authentication for the AWS account? Okay, we can provide the multi-factor authentication for the root and also for the user. Okay, here how to create a multi-factor authentication. Hello, 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 are you there? Hello.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So next thing we're going to learn about the multi-factor authentication. With that,
Multi-factor authentication.
so we're going to provide the multi-factor authentication for the user. Why you need to provide a multi-factor authentication for AWS account? To provide extra layer of security. To provide extra layer of security.
Yes.
Here, AWS
Extra
multi-factor
layer.
authentication is an
Mm-hmm.
identity and access management best practice that require the two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication. Why need extra layer of security means it provide extra layer of security.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the best practice requires the two-factor authentication in addition to the username and password and sign-in credential. You can enable MFA at the AWS account level, at the user level also. At the user level also. With the MFA enabled, whenever user signs in, they prompt for the username and password, and also it asks for the OTP from the MFA device. OTP from the MFA device. Okay. Now how will you provide the MFA? Here I just go to the IAM portal. Now you can check here, this MFA is already given. I had just already assigned for the root. Here I had already assigned the multi-factor for the authentication for the root. If we want to access, we want to give the permission or we want to apply the multi-factor authentication for the root. So we need to have here, because I already given the multi-factor authentication. There is one option is there, add MFA here for root. Okay. For root, I want to assign the multi-factor authentication. If you don't assign multi-factor authentication, here one option you can find here, add MFA. Understand? Whether I want to give multi-factor authentication for the user, here multi-factor, any user or root, how to provide the multi-factor authentication. First I create a user. Okay. First I create a user. Okay. Then I will give the permission. Okay. For multi-factor authentication. Here first I create a user. Why we need multi-factor authentication? Why we need multi-factor authentication? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Why you need multi-factor authentication?
We need it because make it more secure.
Yeah, create a user here.
Mm-hmm.
You can set the multi-factor authentication for root also. For setting the multi-factor authentication of the root, here because already I set the multi-factor authentication for root. Here we can find this one option either add MFA for the root. Okay.
Yes.
If you want to set for the multi-factor root, just click on the user here. Create the user here.
Mm-hmm.
Give the password.
Okay.
It is happening.
Okay.
There is no user there. Machine 123.
Yeah, no user.
So I'm having portal issue. It was now it's you can show it. It's showing that it is created.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here this the user is there. Then how to assign the multi-factor authentication? Here, just click on this one. There is an option is there. Which option?
Security credentials. Right?
So in this security credential, an option is there. Which one? Assign.
Assign MFA device.
Okay. Click on assign MFA. Then give the
Mm-hmm.
name. I just give the name like sec fact. There are three options are there. Pass key or security key. Second one is authenticator app. Third one is hardware TOP token. So here either passkey or security key is nothing but you can authenticate using your fingerprint, using your fingerprint,
Okay.
face or screen lock, or
Mm-hmm.
a passkey with a device like a pen drive, like you do know flash drive, like some
Mm-hmm.
FIDO device will be there. Okay, this is okay.
Yes.
This is hardware based, like when you assign like biometric or like fingerprint sensor or iris sensor by using this. This is a FIDO device. Okay, understood.
Yes.
So which one? The first one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is the first one? Using the fingerprint and face and screen lock. And second one is the authenticator app, like Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator. I think if you are using the iPhone, I think iPhone also having authenticator app, Apple Authenticator. Okay. You can use any authenticator app, brother. Okay. This is the hardware based key. This one, okay. And this one is authenticator app. You can use authenticator app, need to be installed in a phone, either Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator or like Apple Authenticator. Okay.
Okay.
And third one is the hardware TOP token, authenticate code generated with the hardware TOP token for other whether other hardware devices. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this both are need device, okay. And this one you don't need any device. We need to download the authenticator app. You need to download the authenticator app. Which app? Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator, or if you are using iPhone, then you can go for the Apple Authenticator. Okay. Even Play Store also, that is If you're still you are using Apple phone, then you can find in Play Store, Microsoft Authenticator will be there. No problem. No issue for you. Okay. If you don't want to use Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, you can use your own authenticator from iStore. Okay. Understand? We need to download that app. Which app? Google Authenticator. Okay. Once we download the Google Authenticator in our phone, then just click on this one and just click on the second option, show QR code. Okay. Understand? Now show this here. Click on
Mm-hmm.
this QR code and scan the QR code with your Google Authenticator app.
Good.
Install the Google Authenticator app and scan the QR code with the Google Authenticator app from your phone. Then it will generate two OTPs. How many OTPs will generate? Two OTP. One OTP will be generated. Then after 30 seconds, two OTP will be generated. First we need to enter the first OTP code, MFA code. Then second we enter the second code. Once we enter the two codes, it will automatically attach your device to the AWS account. Understand? It will attach your device to the AWS account. Whenever you log in second time, then when you enter the username and password, the MFA will be generated in your device. Every time you need to enter the MFA from your device. If you don't have a device, then you won't able to log in because of the MFA will be generated to the particular device. Understand? Okay, that is
Yes.
MFA. Okay, that is MFA. Understand how you assign the MFA? Which
Yeah.
authenticator you are using? You are having iPhone. I think you don't have an Android phone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, check in your iStore, for store that which authenticator you are using. You can use Google Authenticator also. Even though if you are using iPhone, you can use Google Authenticator also. Okay, that is mean by what? Multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication. Okay.
Right.
So why you need to provide multi-factor authentication? It is to provide the extra layer of security for AWS account. Suppose you want to give the assign the multi-factor authentication for the root. Here in your account, here this root beside then one option is there, assign MFA. Assign MFA. You can assign multi-factor authentication for the root and also for the user. For the user. Okay. Now going to move on the next topic is there type of policies. Okay, types of policies. What is that? Types of
Understood.
policy. AWS having a three types of policies are there. AM policies are three types. How many types of policies are there? Three types
Three.
of policy. So one is the AWS manager policy. Second one is the custom policy. Third one is the inline policy. Third one is the inline policy.
Mm-hmm.
How many policies are there? Three types of policies. One is the AWS manager policy. Second one is the custom policy. And third one is the inline policy. The inline policy. So what is my AWS inline policy? What is my what is my AWS manager policy? So up to now, whatever the policy we attach for the user, for the group, for the role, these policies were managed by the AWS only. Okay, these policies are managed by the AWS only. We are not designing any policy. What are the policies? But by the that was managed by AWS only. Okay, that was managed by whom? The policies are whom? That is AWS managed policy. Okay, so we had selecting the AWS manager policies only. Suppose I need to have some custom policy, like I need only I have multiple buckets in my account. Is whenever you give the S3 full access, it will allow all the buckets. But I don't want that. I want to give only specific S3 bucket. I want
Mm-hmm.
to give only access for the specific S3 bucket. There is no option is available to access a specific S3 bucket in your AWS manager policy. That time you need to go to which policy? Custom manager policy. What is that? Custom manager policy. Understand? There are three types of policies are there. One is the AWS manager policy, second one is the custom manager policy, and third one is the inline policy. What is that? Inline policy. Understood? The first one is AWS manager policy. Up to now, we have practiced AWS manager policy or the AWS manager policy. The policy is managed by the AWS itself. Because another way is I want to create my own policy. Then to create my own policy, I use custom policy. I use which policy? Custom policy. What is my inline policy? Inline policy is also like a customized policy, but can use for one time only. This used for one time only. One is the AWS manager policy, second is the custom manager policy, and third one is the which one? Inline policy. There are three types of policies are provided by the AWS in the uh, AM. Okay, AM. See here, three types of policy. One is the AWS managed policy, second is the customer managed policy, and third one is which policy? Inline policy. This AWS managed policy, as I told you that these policies are managed by the AWS only. Okay, there have predefined permissions and policies are there that was designed and managed by the AWS. Whereas the customer managed policy, inline policy is managed by customer, needs nothing but user. Okay, you will choose which they need, which resources need to be accessed, which resources need to be. I need to change. I need to select myself. These two policies are managed by the customer. Which one? Customer inline policy. Understand? Okay. So this one, what is AWS managed policy? Scope attachment is entities across the all AWS account. Whereas the customer manager policy, multiple AM entities with one account, within a one account only. Whereas this inline policy can attach for only one time only. Suppose this is also customer managed policy, we can attach to one entity only. Means that I created a user, for user I need to attach a customer policy, then I can attach for single user only. I can't attach for multiple users or multiple accounts, multiple roles, which one? Inline policy. This can be attached to multiple entities within one account. Here these are high reusable, these are also reusable. This is only one time use. These inline policies are one time use. Okay. And this one, this AWS managed policy, AWS updates and AWS handles the updates. Okay. And these customer policies, user handles and update the policies. Okay. Which one? Customer policy. Whereas this one also, user also handles the all updates. Whenever I want to create a policy, this policy is created by the customer only, nothing but user only. Whereas AWS manager policy will handle by the AWS. Handled by the AWS. Understand? Can you understand what is how many types of policy? How many types of policy? Three types. One is the first type is the AWS managed policy. Second one is the customer managed policy, and third one is the inline policy. Then how to create a policy? I click on this policy. Do you understand, brother? Are you there? Hello? Hello, are you there? Hello?
Yes.
How many types of policies?
How many types of policies? I think it's four.
How many types of policy? Now I explain how many types of policy?
I think three or four, right?
Not four, it is three. How many types of
Three.
policy? Three types of policy.
Three types of
What are the policies? Are three types are provided by the AWS IAM?
uh,
One is the AWS managed policy. Second one is the inline
in,
policy, and
yes,
third
AWS
one is the
managed
customer
and
managed policy. Okay.
yes.
So up to now we have practiced only AWS managed policy. These policies are
Mm-hmm.
designed by the AWS itself. If any
Mm-hmm.
changes are done by AWS itself. Whereas customer managed policy, inline policies are managed by the user, nothing but ourselves.
Okay.
Okay. We'll design according to our requirement. Whereas the
Okay.
AWS customer policy, the customer policy can be attached to multiple entities. Okay. Whereas inline
Mm-hmm.
policy is also a custom policy but can attach only single entity.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Whereas AWS managed policy and customer policy can use multiple times. Reusability is there. Whereas inline policy cannot have a reusability. You can use for single time only. Okay.
Okay.
Now how to create a policy here? Just click on the policies here.
Mm-hmm.
Click on the create policy. Select the service. Select, I'm selecting S3 here. Here when I click on here, there are multiple options are there. This is also known as fine granular policy. It provides more options. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you can check here. Whenever I click here, S3 bucket, okay, in this S3 bucket inside there are multiple options are there. There is hundreds of options are there. You can check here. Okay, you can check here.
Yeah.
In the list, we have all list actions, list access grants, list access points, list bucket. I want to list the specific bucket only. Okay. Again,
Yes.
another having list all my bucket. List jobs only. List storage lens configuration only. Again, in the read, I don't want to give the all the permissions. I'll just choose which thing I need, which thing I don't need. There are multiple options are there. Read also. Get bucket ACL, describe the job, get access grant instance, like get only I need only get bucket versioning. Okay, I need only a specific object. I need only get object ACL, like multiple options are there. In write also, there are multiple options are there. Instead of that, I want to choose only create bucket. It will create only CS create bucket. There are other options also there. Delete bucket website, delete object. Okay, delete object is also there. Okay, you can choose according from this according to a requirement you can choose. Whereas in the AWS manager policy you don't have a provision that this all options are there. By the default it will be read, by the default it will write. You
Okay.
understand or not?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you understand? Okay,
Yes.
there are multiple options are there. See here, this can be choose according to a requirement. Suppose if a scenario is there, I don't want to give all the bucket. I want to give only. I want to give the permission for the user. Like here, only option is there. Like I want to only give the option for the user only list the bucket only.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't want to give the read option, then I select only list all my bucket. Okay, I don't want to list my, even though I don't want to list all the bucket, I need to have only list bucket. It will give those specific bucket. If you select list bucket here and I just scroll down and just here, go to the resources, okay, DNS specific and add the bucket name here. Okay, you need to add the region and you need to back add the bucket name here.
Mm.
That it will list the only specific bucket. Understand?
Yes.
You understand or not?
Yes. Yes.
If we take any service, like doesn't mean that only this one, you can take any service. Yeah, click on the create policy. This is known as the fine granular policy. I want to give the permission for a particular user EC2. When you click on EC2, here, here you can check here again. There are multiple options for the EC2. Okay, understand? Okay, you can choose according to a requirement. Okay, when you
Yes.
choose AWS managed policy, you don't have this much of option. There is only two options are there. Either I can read, either I can write only. Either I can give the write permission, either I can give the read permission only. You don't have such much, how many options you can choose. Okay. Whenever you choose the AWS managed policy, you defaultly giving permission for all. Whereas here, you can choose according to specific requirement I want to give. Then I can choose this customer policy. Understand? Now I create a customer policy. Click on the create policy. I just select S3 here. In this one, go to the list here. Just selected list all. I need to list only all my bucket. Need to list only all bucket. I just select next here and give the policy name as Mosin custom. Brother, Mosin custom.
Mm-hmm.
Description is list bucket only. You don't need any description. Then I just given their permission. Create a policy. Now I created a which policy? Customer policy. Then
Customer.
I go to the user here.
Yes.
This time instead of attaching the AWS manage policy, we're going to attach the customer policy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This customer policy, inside the customer policy, I had just picked the specific policy that having only list the bucket only. There isn't have any other option. It won't do anything. It won't do anything. It will list only all bucket. Okay. It is also known as fine granular policy. Fine granular policy. Here click on create user. Just giving the name as user one. This is user. The previously for the user I had given the AWS managed policy.
Right.
This time I'll attach the which one? Customer managed policy. So when you click on this user one, now you can check here. There is no policies attached. There is no policies attached. Now I'm going to attach the customer managed policy. How will you attach the customer policy? Just click on the add permission and click on the attach policies directly. Here instead of selecting all types, select only customer manager. Okay, previously we had selected all types. You need to select which one? Customer manager. Understand? What is the name here? What is the name? Mohsin custom. Click on next here. Add permissions. Now we added a permission for the Mohsin custom policy is attached to the user one. Now going to the other browser. Enter the username. Enter the password. and click on sign in. Now listing the bucket. Can you observe that?
Yep.
So when you click on the inside the bucket, can it read? Can it read? You don't have an option to read because we are not defined any policy. I just given the policy that only list the buckets only, even though it doesn't have any permissions to access the objects also. I had given only a small permission list all buckets only. Understand? This which policy is this one? Customer managed policy. Okay. Okay, another one is the another policy, the inline policy. What is the inline policy? Inline policy is also like a customer managed policy. Whereas customer manager policy can attach to multiple entities. Mean that attach to user one, it can attach to other user also, like user two, user three, and you can attach to other group also. You can use to multiple entities. You can attach to multiple entities. Whereas this inline policy is also customer policy, can use for single time only. If you delete user, automatically the permission also deleted. You understand? What is the inline policy? Here, I just go to the user here again. I just remove this policy, this customer policy I'll remove here. Then I'm going to create a inline policy. For creating inline policy, here click and add the permission under having which option? Create inline policy. The create inline policy and customer policy are look like the same options are there. But inline policy can use for only one time. Whereas customer managed policy can use for multiple times. Here also choose same thing like previously what we did here. S3 and again we have a list and have a same options you can observe here. Same options. Okay, again next here. Again give the name inline moves in.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, fine. Yeah,
So that's it. So now I
okay.
created a inline policy. What is the difference
Mm-hmm.
between the inline policy and customer policy?
And customer policy is like multiple, right?
Here
What
I
did you
attached
say?
a yes. So whenever I create a customer policy, we can attach for multiple entities. Whereas inline
Mm-hmm.
policy is also like a customer policy, you can attach for only single time. Okay.
Single time, yeah.
So once a user is deleted or anything you deleted, if the policy is removed, then it will remove. Suppose here one policy is there. If you remove here, you don't find any policy.
Right.
Again, we need to create. Understood?
Mm-hmm.
So this is very important as a IAM user. So many suppose when you go for the real time. So I told you that you don't need to maintain all services. Instead of that, they will give a specific permission to manage. Like they will give permission to create users to and for the users you need to provide multiple. You need to create policies and we need to create like resources. Which resources need to access. Okay, understand? There are you don't need to manage all services when you join a company as a AWS engineer or a DevOps engineer. They don't give all roles to do. Okay, they have some specific roles are only new. Sometimes you need to manage the AM also. Understand? So where we need to know what is the customer policy, what is the inline policy, what is the AWS managed policy, AWS managed policy. Understand? If you
Yes.
remove this, what happens? If you remove this, what happens? It is only
And we
one time
lose,
use. It is
yeah,
only one time use. You understand? Whereas customer policy,
multiple.
okay.
Okay.
So that's it. The users, groups, roles, and the policies. User rules, groups, and the policies.
Policy. Mm-hmm.
Policies. Okay, what does my AM do? What
Uh,
does AM do?
I am
AM
right.
provide the user management to access multiple account. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There
Okay.
is one option is there. You can find AWS organization. In that last, we have AWS organizations there. Okay. What does mean AWS organization? When I want to manage the AWS account, multiple AWS account from a single place, like you are working in a company, you're having 20, 30, 40 AWS accounts are there. So instead of managing separately every AWS account, I want to manage the AWS account from single place. Then I go for which one? AWS organizations. Understand? What is my AWS organization? You can manage multi-account, brother. If you have a multiple accounts are there. Suppose you are need to manage the AWS account, multiple accounts in a from one place, then you go for the which one? AWS organization. In AWS organization, I centrally manage your multiple accounts that you want to scale your AWS resources. Okay. An organization helps you centrally manage, govern your environment as grow scale your AWS resources using AWS organization. You can create account, allocate the resources, group accounts to organize your workflows, apply policies for governance, simply billing by using single payment method for from all AWS account. Your AWS organization is integrated with other AWS services. You can define central organization. Understand what is mean AWS organization? AWS organization is nothing but there is a requirement there. You need to manage the AWS account, multiple AWS account. You have 10, 20, 30, 40. Instead of managing individually, you can manage from one single place. By creating AWS organization account, you can add all this account to the AWS organization. From the account, you can manage. You don't need to manage from login separately. You understand? Okay. Here, whenever you log into AWS account, there is an option is there. By default, your account become the root. You want to add other accounts, click on the AWS account. Here, you need to add the account name and account ID and everything. Hello? 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 Are you there? Hello? Hello?
Yes.
So what does mean AWS organization account?
It's like a role that's set for the organization, right? So everyone who's part of the organization will get that role.
No, no. What does mean AWS organization is means where we can manage the multiple AWS account.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry, sorry.
Multiple AWS
Management.
account.
Yes.
It
Having
is a
multiple roles.
place where we can manage the multiple AWS account in a single place. Instead of logging separately in individually one AWS, multiple accounts, I just
Mm-hmm.
all AWS accounts will be added in organization. From this organization, I will manage. It is easy to me managing separately. Instead of
All right.
I create organization account, I add the all AWS account. You can check here.
Mm-hmm.
Here you can check here. The here you can add, or else directly you can add here. Give the name
Mm-hmm.
like if your account name is like Javed and email address and this then it will be added. Okay, AWS account will be added. Or else you can send a invite existing account if a already existing account AWS account is there. You can send a Gmail or any account. You can add an email account and it will send an email to the particular person, and if he accept, then account will be added here. Understand? So what is my AWS organization? Organizations are nothing but to manage the AWS account. Okay, multiple AWS account. What are the things we had up to now we had covered today? First thing is there roles, and second thing is that roles. After roles, I just covered the types of the policies. There are three types of policies are there. One is the AWS managed policy, customer managed policy, and third one is the inline policy. And third one, I had covered the multi-factor authentication for AWS. Multi-factor authentication for the AWS. And fourth one is the AWS organization account. For AWS organizations account, where we need to manage the multiple AWS accounts at a single place. Okay. That's it for today's class. Tomorrow we'll go for the other topic. That is the next class. We'll go for the which one? That is the AWS lowest elastic load balancer. Elastic load balancer.